Since 1873, students and alumni of color have been making history with their knowledge and expertise on the campus of Syracuse University and in the world. As undergraduates, many have been pioneers in creating student clubs, organizations, school traditions, and the development of university programs and departments. Hi, I'm Ben Green, class of 2008, advisor to the Friends of SU alumni group. Listen to our podcast about students and alumni making history past, present, and near. It's called FSU, Our History is Here.
And then all of this other stuff flows afterwards. And then we come in 1975 and do the Friends of Syracuse, but that's the alumni off the campus. So all of that, like this church and all of this other stuff, you know, I read someplace that like the campus is 1/4 Black and that it's a very good experience for Blacks now based on some of the things that we laid down. Right. And some of the things came afterwards. So that's a different campus than what I knew.
Sure. What were you saying, Gwen?
Well, I mean, when I started, the Qs were there. There was no other Greek organization on campus. By my junior year, there were Greeks on every Greek organization. You know, Black and fraternities and sororities were on campus by that time.
Wow.
So by then, it was a very different, very different experience. I mean, the difference between like the students coming in 70 and those coming in 72.
Right.
You know, those students were, you know, it was different, you know.
Right.
I mean, not to say they weren't all, you know, many of them were first time students who, you know, they first time college students and their families.
Right.
But you know, I think it just I feel like the recruitment that was done by the university was a little bit different than was my class of that's when we started in 1970. So, you know, but by that time also, you know, in 73, there were definitely 72, 73, there were a lot more Black and Latino students on campus. So, I mean, I think that was, you know, so the fact that, you know, a lot of Greek organizations begun at that time, probably no surprise.
Yeah. The class of 72 doubled the Black population in September in 1969.
Wow.
They doubled, but we had had some recruitment efforts and stuff that we had put together.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, okay. When the class of 72 arrives, you got SAS as a baby organization. You got Martin Luther King Library was already beginning to start. But one thing that my brother had been the editor of the first Black editor of the DeWitt Clinton newspaper. We both went to DeWitt Clinton High School. Okay. It was my father. So I said, Gary, I remember saying this to him. I said, Gary, we got this. We got the Black Studies. I mean, we didn't have we got SAS. We got this. Why don't you need to do a newspaper? Right. So we started off naming it Habari Ghani, which is like what's happening.
What's happening? Yeah, Habari Ghani. Yes.
But we decided it was too heavy for the crowd.
I know. You guys were here, and people were like, what?
Yeah. So we changed the name to Black Voice.
Gotcha.
And that's that. And that's when, and then Gary, that went on after I went on, and then Gary and Andrew became very tight around that.
Hanging buddies, huh, Andrew?
Actually, we became closer after we graduated. And
okay.
And we hung out in New York, and I gotta say that the Brown family has a rich tradition of history, critically understanding it.
Yeah.
Gary and I would have long discussions about Black history. And if you notice, you look at Ed's background, he's a book fiend. Look at all those books behind him.
Yeah, I know. That's Martin Luther King Library.
Yeah. And Gwen also, Gwen has a separate dedicated room of books. You know, she's in the drawing room of her apartment.
Right.
Andrew, you're so silly. You are so silly.
Yeah, well,
but he's not talking about what he has. Okay, so let's see.
Yeah.
He has his closet with those clothes and hats, the man,
Yeah.
that's what he has.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Yep. Yep.
My
mhm.
God,
He,
come on
he,
now.
he's definitely the coolest person on this call.
Sure, he probably has like at least 15 to 20 sets of shades, right? Depending on the season.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
let me continue. So I love that the history that we're getting at is, and it's funny, I keep telling people ask me, who are the friends that asked you? I'm like, you don't know? I said, let me just pinch your ear a little bit. Before
Mhm.
me, there were these folks, and they made things happen on campus for you now. A lot of folks, and that's why I'm doing this. There are a lot of current 2020, 19, 18, 17, 15, 2010, 2005, 1999, 1995, 1990, 1988, okay? And even
Mhm.
class 1985, who don't know this, even some 1981s who don't know what came before them. But as I met you guys, little by little, more and more, and I got to meet some of you guys, I'm like, whoa, I'm thinking, if I was on campus around your time, I would have been on and popping just like Ed.
Mhm. Mhm.
Probably would have been arrested.
And
Mhm.
I want to just say, just what you're alluding to. I mean, with coming back together, one of the things that we wanted to make certain was that, consistent with FSU,
Yes.
was that we had reunions in September.
Right.
So to make sure that we could continue to interface and connect with the students, and so
Mhm.
many of the other alumni groups meet at the end of the school year, like in May. So after the students are gone, and we made a commitment that we needed to be with the students, because I mean it was important for us to know that they would actually get to learn some of the rich history
Right.
of this alum who started before them, and that, and then to really welcome them into the organization. So when CBT started, there were alum, like, from
Yeah.
that who were much, very senior back then,
Oh, yeah.
who were like in their, in the 50s, the 40s, not many, but some people did come back, and I personally appreciated meeting those alum, because they experienced
A whole.
considerably difficult experience. I mean, they had difficult experiences, like not being able to live on campus. I mean, the stories go on. So,
Mhm.
it is important. And I just have to say that, with what's happened on campus and of the past year,
Ah,
uh,
yeah, that's another story.
I'm hoping that from that experience, that that alum can actually be, a helpful resource, because that's really what FSU is about, is being able to be a resource. And certainly what's happened in, 2019 on campus is troublesome, and really needs to be, I mean, I know the university is addressing those issues, but I'm,
Sure.
hoping with the next CBT that we'll be able to, have those
Mhm.
connections, and,
Mhm.
One of the key
Yeah.
things, thanks to you guys and what I've known, when it all kicked off in 2019, I'm in contact with the other independent alumni groups, the SU Posse, Joe Cruz, we got the
Mhm.
DC Orange and Blue crew, and we have the Alansu, who's a Latino American network.
yes.
So, we chat. I have a group like I have you guys on Facebook.
Mhm.
So when that was popping off, I started to contact what students I'd still in contact with on campus. And next thing you know, we were contacting each other. One of my inside, I won't say their names, but one of my inside people on the campus said, "Hey, Ben, contact this person so you can find out what's going on." And we did that. And I'm still in contact, especially with the parents of the not again SU people and some of the students. So I'm still trying to get a catch up and find out what's going on. And I've been putting that information out there. Let alumni know. We wrote our letters that we are in support. First
Mhm.
what's going on, what was going down, and then we try to provide as much information as possible. And Sam Pensil got involved, but other alums who've been through, like you guys went through, said, "Hey, this is what."
Yeah.
So yes, FSU is still strong, and we're still there.
Yeah, my
Okay.
question, I was wondering, but I wanted to say something else too. But I was wondering, when I first heard about it,
Right.
my first question was, what is SAS doing? because I know what we would have been doing as SAS. So I would say, so who's the SAS president? That was my first question, because I come from an SAS perspective, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Still, you know, because I mean, our first, within 2 months of our existence, we came into existence in February. Within 2 months, George Wallace came on campus, and we had a major demonstration against him, historic. And then at the end of that same year, Stokely Carmichael came on campus, and that quad that you see behind you,
yeah,
the whole quad was filled, and he was inside the thing. He was inside the chapel. And then we went, and then he had a meeting with just the black students. And at that time, we met in a prefab behind the thing. And he met Stokely Smith. Yeah, so that was my first question. But let me say a couple of things on the Friends of Syracuse and the CBT.
Gotcha.
One of the things that we wanted to do was a scholarship.
Right.
Yes, I'm glad you're saying. I was going to say that. Yes.
Yeah. And one of the things we wanted to do was what we did do, more so they did after they could, was setting. But I actually went to a couple of them, setting up these programs on campus where we interact with the students on a professional level.
Yes.
Yeah.
We want to do that, and then and it's a couple of other things that we wanted to do. But and I understand also that from Gwen, you could clarify. Didn't the first CBT take part of our mailing list to start what they wanted to do?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure when Robert Hill met with us, I'm sure that was, you know,
I think
we were able to provide him with a lot of information.
Yeah, well, okay, that's the point I'm making, because I think Gary mentioned that to me. The point I'm making here is that some of the things, once CBT started their events, they were able to use resources on campus to do some of the things that we were envisioning doing, like a scholarship. They did a scholarship far better than, you know, than we could have, the way they would do it, collection. And
well, I mean, right, because at that point, I mean, Robert Hill had joined the university, and, you know, he had the mandate to be able to work with the Black and Latino alum to, you know, help from a development standpoint.
Okay.
You know, the alumni in terms of developing them, and also ultimately, you know, make donations to, you know, the university. And of course, we were always, you know, wanted to have scholarships for Black and Latino students. And so our time has come. Scholarship Fund has been a successful, has been successful. There's always more, you know, fundraising to be done, of course. And to be able to ultimately provide, you know, more scholarships, you know, or more complete scholarships for students. But, you know, that, you know, Robert Hill was, you know, hiring by the university was, you know, very critical to the further history of SU students of color.
Well, I guess the point I was making is partly, and you support it, our vision was to be doing some of the things that CPT ended up being able to do in a much more organized fashion because of Robert Hill and because of the resources they was able to bring to make it official with the campus. But we saw ourselves doing scholarships, providing programs to students. That's how we, in the beginning when we were creating the organization, that was what we had in mind.
A couple of things I found out, I noticed as you mentioned it. Now I know, it's funny, a lot of people still don't know, the Friends of SU, we are some of the key people who helped with Robert Hill create CBT, right? Now let's go before that. Before that, right, when you guys were in school, there was no office called the Office of Program Development.
Nope. And
FSU, as I said, some of the key components of people are the ones who were talking about the whole concept of, oh, you know, who do we see in reference to students of color coming into the university, and those same students also graduating. Because when I came in the fall of '77, many were chosen, but a few didn't make it.
A lot, yeah.
And probably some may have happened around you too. Some of them.
Of course.
Yep.
Yep.
So I understand that a lot of them came together, and the university created that office specifically for students of color.
Yeah, I think it was actually called the Office of Minority Affairs, I think.
Yeah, the OMA, it was the Office of Minority Affairs. I remember that. And from there, they had to get a financial component. You know, how do we help to recruit, and then we need money and the whole thing of scholarships, like you said, building around that, and that's when program development, you know, came into effect. And what do we need to help these people to donate? Well, how about a reunion? Ding, ding, ding. Now we had those components.
Yeah, that's you're getting into that's Gwen Wilcox's area as far as from where I sit. That's more because she's the link between that. But I do remember sitting in Manley Fieldhouse as a freshman, and they said, "Look to your right, look to your left. When are you all going to be here?" I do remember that as a freshman. But Gwen, I think, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, she could give you like that linkage in that development of the link between Friends of Syracuse and the CBT.
Thanks to the Friends of SU, our history is here. We now know that Byron Merritt, class of 70, served as president of the SAS, the Student African American Society, 3 of the first 5 years, followed by St. Clair-born class of 67. Byron Merritt, Lynn Hooper, and Ed Brown met in front of HBC and made the decision to start the MLK Library and a Black Cultural Center. Gary Brown, Ed's brother, class of 72, created a student newspaper called Habari Ghani. Originally, that was the name, but he quickly changed it to The Black Voice. Gwen Wilcox, class of 74, explains how FSU worked with Robert Hill to create a reunion that would engage alumni and students of color, along with a scholarship that would help keep students of color at SU, and also allow alumni to contribute. It became the Our Time Has Come Scholarship for the Coming Back Together reunion.